Okay, speedrun of the Mama Africa's Kitchen case. VBA, I'm going to use a decent amount of VBA and lambdas. You can download that file. This first one, I'm not going to use any VBA or macros. This first one, just going to use a nice XLOOKUP flour on. I'm going to bring the ingredients list over a little bit just to make this a little easier. So this just XLOOKUP the ingredient on the ingredients, returning the price. No rounding on that one. All right, now I need price per gram. Some of them are in grams, some of them are in kilograms. Instead of doing just E to E, I'm going to do B to E and get all this, right? So that is, these things here. So a packet is 10 kilograms of flour, which costs $3.29 CAR. So I've got to take care of grams and kilograms. So if this is, I don't know why you would buy 10 kilograms of flour is a lot of flour to buy for these recipes, but if this is a kilogram, then it's 1,000 grams. Otherwise, it's 1 gram. It's the only other possibility is 1 gram. Right, so the cost divided by the number of grams divided by the number of kilograms is the cost per gram. And this needs to be rounded to 2 decimals. And that's it for that one. Now I've got a conversion table here. So now I'm going to use my VBA. I hate doing conversion, so I made a VBA function that does chain conversions, self conversions, reverse conversions. It works like the conversion built-in macro, or the conversion built-in function in Excel, but instead of using a standard real-life conversion list, you feed it a conversion table, and it will handle all the chains and reverses and selves and whatever else needs to happen. All right, so this measurement, one of that is this many of this unit, right? So as long as I feed this to my conversion function, it'll take care of the rest of it, right? So X, oh no, hold on, one more thing I gotta take care of. These little quarters and halves, right? These have gotta go, obviously. So there's a half, there's a quarter, where is a half? Yeah, there's a half. We're going to go ahead and convert these to decimals because, of course, we are. So the quarters is converted to decimals in the entire workbook. And then the halves are converted to decimals in the entire workbook. All right, so now X convert. I feed it this conversion table. And I tell it that I've got a cup and I've got that many cups and I want to know milliliters is what it's asking for. And that's it, no need to round. All right, cost of the ingredient quantities. So use my X text split on this to split this by that, by spaces. Some of the ingredient names have multiple words, so I'm going to do a join. I mean, the first 2 words are always the quantity and a 1-word unit, right? The rest of it, I got to join back together because there might be more than 1 word. So text join E33, or no, text join space, skipping blank cells from, E33 to E40. Right, so now I've got the ingredients that are multiple words. And I've got to calculate the cost, right? So I can do that just as another unit conversion, right? Like I can just treat the ZAR currency as if it was a unit conversion. So if I look up, I'm going to do this same thing I did before over here, right? Why don't I lock this in place, make it a little easier on myself. So I'm going to take this over into level 4, right? So I'm going to look up that information. So what I want to know is one of that unit is how many ZAR? Well, it's the number of ZAR divided by the quantity. So now this is just X convert using this table. I convert a cup that much, or I convert, whatever that unit is, that much of it over to ZAR. And that's that. And it says to round to 2 decimal places. All right, there's level 4. All right, level 5, I got to look these up in all the recipes. So I've got more VBA for this. Sheet names, there's all the sheet names. Just gonna paste values, those out of there so they don't, just in case I move the sheets around, it doesn't mess stuff up. Now I use my sheet data thing. My sheet data, I think it's a VBA function, right? So I use that on this stuff. Those are the sheets I want, and the range I want is not A1, it's something else. All right, it is B9 to E30, let's say. B9 to E30. So from B9 to E30, it's all the ingredients, and I got to put that in the same format as this. So that is a text join again. So that is text join. The delimiter is space. Ignore empty is true. And texts are all this stuff. Copy that down, and now it's just a lookup, right? So look up this on, M31 to M1000, returning on the same thing, but G is where the names of the... See, this is why I use VBA instead of a 3D reference, is because it just gives me the sheet names right here, which I care about because that's where my answers come from. All right, 6. Now I still have to do the sheet name thing, but I don't want all the recipes. I just want one recipe, right? Which is this recipe. So now I got to take these and I got to convert them to ZAR. I'm going to use the same method I did before, but I got to be a little more creative about it because, it changes for every row now, right? So like this is not true for every ingredient. That's only true for first ingredient. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build a table. So I'm going to VStack all of this stuff with another row, right? Which is H stack. So one of, actually, I'm not ready for this yet. First of all, I got to look up the ingredient, data, right? So I look that up here and get this. Okay, so that's my ingredient data. I'll bring over the labels. All right, now I'm ready for my conversion table, right? So VStack this thing to start with, right? And I need there's one missing here, which is that kilogram is 1,000. 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So now VStack this thing with HStack, a new row I'm going to create for the dollars, right? The ZAR. So it is one of liter, right? Is how many ZAR, and it's P31 divided by N31. right? And then that is ZAR, right? So 1 liter is 19.99 ZAR, right? 2 liters is 39.99 ZAR. So 1 liter, right? One of this is this many of this, right? So 1 liter is 90.99 of ZAR. Now that's it. Now I just got to chain my conversions, and the code will do that for me. So X convert based on this table. I'm going from liter from the ingredient, and I need that many of it from the recipe also, and I need to convert it to ZAR, right? This part's got to get frozen, right? Everything else can move as we go. All right, so that should handle the conversions. Stacking that with this, from this to ZAR. Oh no, I never copied those down. That's why. I never copied down this. Now we've got most of these. This one still looks a little. I want to convert from gram to kilogram to the, oh no, I missed one, right? This also says that you can assume that 1 milliliter is 1 gram, which is definitely not true in real life unless it's water, but these are close enough to water where we're going to pretend that it is. So 1 milliliter is 1 gram. Now, if I add that assumption, that should fill out all the ones that require conversions, right? Yes. So the ones that are still in A here are because they're eaches, right? Which I have to handle differently. So let's, for now, I'm just going to do, you know, a little if error there. So this one, what do I want it to be? I want this. This is simply, I need one of them, and each one costs this much, right? So that's simply the cost of it divided by how many I need, or no, times how many I need. The cost of it times how many I need, right? And then I put this out. Still need if error, don't I? Because, can I if error again? I don't want to get a bunch of ugly errors out of this. Yeah, nested if errors is not amazing, but close enough. All right, so sum up price of the ingredients, round to 2 places, and that should be right. We'll see in a second. Let us check the case. 1,000 points so far, that means it's right. This recipe is the fastest to prepare. So this is like every place has it here in B5, right? So I'm just gonna go back to where my sheet data is here. Call this B1. And here I just need cell B5. How about B5 to C5? Yeah, there we go. All right, so here is the time. Which recipe is the what? Fastest to prepare is not one with hours. It's got to be minutes. So 25 minutes is this one. That's it. That's right. Yeah, 25 minutes. All right, most expensive per gram. So the ingredients, they're all either by gram or kilogram, unless they're liter or milliliter, right? But they're all gram and kilograms. So this is the amount per gram. So equals this divided by how many grams you get is the cost per gram. And then the ones that are kilogram is that times that, I mean, that divided by 1,000. Right, so what's the most expensive? These don't count. Is the biggest of this returning this is pepper. The ingredient is used by most of these dishes as in occurrences. So I find all my ingredients, which is here, and I use my frequency table subroutine, and it is salt with 12 occurrences. Okay, most expensive recipe to make. Is this, but that's not all of them. That's only 10 of them, and there's 12. So I've got to do all of them using a what if table. So this is going to be B4, right? Bonus 4. So I do I need the recipe names, which I have on level 5 already. So take that into my bonus 4. I'm going to use that in the what if table. And now I do a what if table where the column input cell is this. And biggest of this on this is that one. And the most expensive ingredient in the Malva pudding is Malva pudding is the biggest of this on this. It's cream. All right, stop. 17 minutes, 19 seconds. Thanks for watching.